is a springtime rain, to have a friend right in your corner. Your heart will feel a little warmer. Tender loving care, tender loving care. Each warm and friendly touch lets someone know you care so much. Tender loving care, tender loving care.
Good evening, I'm Dr. Greenbrier Almond, and thank you for joining us on our program, Tender Loving Care. Each week on Channel 3, for the past 35 years, we've been talking about this interface between Christianity and medicine. And tonight I have a wonderful example in a very creative and idealistic young lady who's a recent graduate of Buchanan Upshur. I'd like to welcome, and I hope you will welcome her and enjoy the program, Julie Tenney. Julie, thank you for coming on our program.
Thank you for having me.
And you are a great asset to our community. I have already been finding out. Not only are you an author, and we're going to talk about two of your books, but you do many other things in our community. Why don't you share just a little bit about your parents, your brother, so that people who probably already know you, but they will identify a little bit with you.
Okay. As he said, my name is Julie Tenney. I am the daughter of Christy and J.P. Tenney. I also have a younger brother, and his name is Brandon. I'm planning on going to West Liberty University next year, and I'm going to study exercise physiology up there. And also I will play softball.
Excellent. Okay. I did see that in the paper, too, after I talked to you about your book, and then I realized that you also are quite an athlete. And you just casually said cheerleader, too.
Yes, I also cheered this past year.
My goodness. So people probably really do know who you are. Yeah. And with your interest in health and how did you decide on exercise physiology, and where's that leading you?
Well, from being a cheerleader and also participating in softball, I've experienced back pain, and I've seen how chiropractic care can benefit myself and also other individuals. So I've decided that I would like to pursue chiropractic and hopefully help people who suffer from back pain. Okay,
it's a big issue in our community. We have perhaps 1/3 of our workforce in West Virginia are injured from time to time. And I may be off on that, but that's something I learned in medical school a long time ago. But meaning that, and often the injuries, because they're in the timber business or they're in the coal mining business or oil and gas, often it is the back that's injured.
I've learned from the study that I've did for my senior project as well, that a lot of the people who suffer from back pain are your average day people who just sat at a desk and are doing work there, and you don't think that that would cause back pain, but from just sitting there for so long, it can really injure your back as well.
Wow, yeah. I can give a little personal vignette to that. I have, when doctors practice, and you'll find out how much paperwork there is, we usually have about 6 people working for us just to keep up with the paperwork. It's an amazing thing. And so I had one lady in the office, this was several years ago, who did have back pain, and she asked for a special chair so she could sit on it, and it would lean a certain way, and she would be positioned so she was comfortable. She didn't have back pain. And so I said, well, you know, accommodation, we want to help people be comfortable in the work setting. So we said, okay, we'll get through that chair. Well, lo and behold, I think the other 5 people needed the chair too. So it is amazing to see. It is. Yeah, so well, I wish you well in that endeavor as you study now at West Liberty and then eventually in chiropractic medicine. And maybe you'll come back and help some of us out here.
Hopefully.
Okay, good. But you are a multifaceted and multi-talented person, aren't you? If I can brag on you, I can brag on you.
Well, thank you.
You've written 2 books.
Yes, I have.
Tell us a little bit about that. Where does the creative juice flow? How did you think that this would be a good idea for a young lady, Buchanan Upshur High School student?
Well, it all started when I was assigned a project in art class, and I had to create a children's book.
Mrs. Conley, was that your teacher?
Yes, Mrs. Conley was my teacher.
Wonderful teacher. Yeah.
Yes, she's very wonderful.
Julie, too, isn't that her first name? Yeah, so there's two Julies here in art. Okay.
So I did that assignment for her class, and it took me a couple months to complete, and I figured after I had done all that work, I might as well try to get it published.
Why not? Yeah. Well, good. And I think I'm glad to know that you feel that whatever you do is worthy, right? Because that you're willing to put yourself and your creativity out there for other people to judge and buy a copy of, right? And by the way, Julie's work is for sale. Amazon.com would be the right place to go right now, and they will probably be selling 2 of her books, and we'll talk about both of them, for about $10 a book. So that's great. And so Mrs. Conley encouraged you then in this endeavor?
Yes, she did. I actually gave her a copy of my book to thank her for helping me in that project.
Yeah. Well, not only this, now you have written a second book, and that's unusual too, isn't it? It puts you in the class of like a salutatorian. You're the salutatorian of your class, aren't you? There's only one person like you in the whole class, right? So you're a unique person. Well, we're going to Rodney, who is an excellent technician here with our Channel 3 and excellent technical person with the camera and sound and everything. And I want to brag on Rodney tonight too. But we're going to show your second book. It's very colorful, and I want you just to show how creative this is and talk a little bit about it, and then we'll go back and talk about your first book also. What are we seeing here on the TV? We're looking at a picture of a cow, I believe.
Yes, my book is about a farm.
Okay.
And the main character is a cow named Ben.
Ben, okay, wow. Okay. Now, have you ever had a cow named Ben?
No, I have not. We have cows at my house, but I've never had one named Ben.
Okay. Well, your program will be live, or not live, but it'll be on YouTube eventually. And I should tell you a cow story about that. I have take care of veterans who fight for us in Afghanistan and Iraq and many places in the world, of course. But this young man came back to his farm in West Virginia, and all the cows have names, which is a good idea, right? I mean, you're going to call Bessie and Ben, and they're going to respond to their own name. And they had about 35 cows. And unfortunately, he had this explosion, this traumatic brain injury in Afghanistan, and he did not know the name of the cows. And that's very sad for his family and for him. And of course, that prompted him to come for medical care, and I got to evaluate him and treat him. So cows do have names in West Virginia. It's a good tradition. Okay, show us some more then.
Okay.
Of course, this is your title page, and you're the author, but the pictures, the paintings are good. You're an artist and a writer. So what are we looking at here?
This is the first page of the book. When Ben is just starting out on his new adventure, he is being taken to a new farm.
Oh, okay. So something new, huh?
Yep.
Now, Julie is also going to go from Buchanan Upshur to West Liberty. So this is apropos about growing up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's show us some more. These are very colorful pictures. And what do we see here?
When Ben first gets to the farm, he doesn't really fit in with the other cows, and so he starts trying to fit in with the other animals.
He's a brown cow, for one thing, huh?
Yep, he
the
is.
others are black and white. Okay. Very
good. He ends up, as you'll see farther in the story.
So this is a dilemma. We all have to more or less like our own body, don't we? I mean, the nose we have, the ears we have, those things are who we are. the body, but we're also mind and we're also soul. But that's a dilemma if he doesn't fit in, doesn't look like the others. And what happens? How does he resolve this dilemma?
Well, at first he tries to fit in with the other animals. He attempts to be a duck, and then later on a pig and a chicken.
Okay. And of course he's none of those.
Yes. He finds out very quickly that he's not very good at being any of those other animals.
Okay.
So at the end of the book, he learns to accept himself and to love himself for who he is, and as a result, the other animals accept him too.
Wow. Okay. So look, you can see from this how colorful this is, Julie. You've done a wonderful job with your art and the storyline.
Thank you.
Now, who are you targeting this book to?
Well,
let's show some more picture while you're talking about that, because Rodney can focus some more on your other art.
Okay.
Who are you wanting to? Some people are watching this. They may be grandparents. Is this something they would buy for their grandchildren?
I hope so.
Okay.
My books are obviously children's books.
They look like it, yeah. And of course, I have granddaughters, and I would say I love to read their stories because they're very creative stories. The books for children.
Yeah.
So so you have targeted it for children. Okay. And what would you want to say? You mentioned before in writing that you always have a moral in mind. And there's some pigs. Look at those pigs. Oh my gosh, huh?
Yeah, I think the best children's books are books that do have a moral and something that the children can get out of them. So I try when I write the books to have a moral behind it.
And what has been teaching children? What's the lesson here?
Just
show another page.
Accept yourself and to be who you are and not to feel like you have to change who you are for someone else. Okay.
And there are some children, we have an expression called black sheep. I mean, this is about Ben the cow, but who's brown. But there is an expression called being the black sheep of the family. Some children seem not to fit in, and they're different, and they're set apart. And I think the term black sheep generally means they're not well liked, or they consider they're not well liked by family members. Is it, you've heard that expression? So how does a child overcome being Ben the brown cow or the black sheep or different? What do they need to say to themselves?
Well, you have to realize that you are the way you are for a reason, and trying to be someone else isn't going to accomplish anything because you will never be able to be someone else. The only person that you can ever be is yourself. And once you realize that God made you who you are for a reason, then you can accept who you are. And
okay, well, very good. So that's it's a good lesson to learn. Now there's one other illustration, one other thing I can think about brown cow. I'm just try to be creative myself and be an author too. But we used to, when we were growing up, we would have treats from time to time, and we would have a root beer float with ice cream in root beer, and we called that a brown cow. So being a brown cow is a good thing in my book. In my book, yeah. So this is quite good. Well, thank you, and thank Rodney. Thank you for focusing in like this on this book. Again, we want to advertise so folks can go and get the books. We'll talk about some more about them, of course, but from Amazon.com, and that's worldwide. Wherever you are in the world, you can go to Amazon.com. And what do they have to punch in, or how you'll be under your name?
Yes,
right?
If you type in the search Julie Tenney, or even the names of my books, Be Yourself Ben or The Noble Knight, then it should pop up.
Okay, very good. And then you can use a credit card or whatever order from Amazon.com. Oh, excellent. Okay. Okay, so this is a big endeavor. What have you learned about yourself then? I mean, you're not a a brown cow in a sense. You're honor society member. You're salutatorian. You're a cheerleader. I mean, you're probably one of the most popular people in your school. I would say that. I don't know that for sure, but I mean, I remember those folks who had your role in our high school, and they were very popular. So, but you're not a brown cow. But you maybe you were at one time. Did you ever feel that you were different and outcast and needed to say to yourself?
Well, I think it's a struggle for most teens to accept who they are and not to try to change themselves, because I think everyone has something about themselves that maybe they don't like or they wish they could change. And this book is just a testament of you're perfect just the way you are. Okay.
God made us, and I have seen a little things that people wear, little buttons and so forth that says God doesn't make junk.
Yeah.
Things like that. So, I mean, that's true, isn't it? We, each of us are, and somehow we're made in the image of God. I mean, I don't know what God looks like exactly, but you know, you're made in the image of God. I am. Folks watching are made in the image of God. So we're valuable, just as you said, just the way we have been created. Yeah. Well, that's going to be a big lesson for children to learn. Well, tell us a little bit about your other book. This was your first book, and we went to the very colorful one to show it on TV. But tell us about the knight and the dragon.
Well, The Noble Knight is a story about a knight that actually goes to kill a dragon. Because the village saw the dragons as harmful. So he sets out to kill the dragon and actually discovers that the dragon's friendly, and they become good friends at the end of the story. Okay.
So the dragon's fire breathing and things like that, is that right? But,
yes.
But he can roast marshmallows or something.
Yeah.
Okay, he's not actually an enemy then. Okay. You know, we often make a mistake, don't we, that if someone's slightly different than us, we do assume that maybe they are out to get us, or they're an enemy, or we cannot trust them. And that takes a while, doesn't it, to learn to trust people. Yeah. Our heritage in the mountains is Scotch-Irish. I mean, that's many folks are Scotch-Irish in background. I am, and my grandmother was a Flanagan, very Irish, and I'm an Almond, and that's very Scotch. So, but I went at one time to Ireland and Scotland, and they're separated just by a small gulf of water, like 20 miles across. And there are some people who would row back and forth. I mean, just, you know, so you can row in a rowboat. It's not a little exercise, but not too much. But anyway, people they also have the mountain ranges, and so when they came to America, they felt a little bit different from the English, and they came up into the mountains. And so a lot of us who settled up here have heritage that says that somehow we're different. Maybe we're the dragons. I don't know. I don't know. Is that an issue, do you think, for West Virginians? I mean, in your generation, or how are you the dragon, or are you the knight?
Well, I don't know whether I'm the dragon or the knight, but I do believe it's an issue around the world that we oftentimes judge someone without actually knowing them. And we may say, oh, they're friendly, we may write them off as an enemy, when really we could be friends. Yeah. And again, we're more like each other than we are different, aren't we? No matter what our background is. I married and have been very happily married for 39 years this fall to a Filipino. And my granddaughters now know that when we go to the Philippines, we're on the other side of the world. You know, we're a global village, but they can take a globe and they can find us on the other side of the world when we're over there. Actually different. I mean, this is now 6 o'clock in the evening, and over there it's 6 o'clock in the morning. So about as different as you can get, right? Yeah. But we're more like each other than we are different. Yeah. Again, you know, just from a biblical background, what have you learned from the Bible then about loving your enemy, or caring for someone
who is our neighbor? There's the Good Samaritan story about the Pharisee asked, well, who is the neighbor anyway? But the story's about that. Who is our neighbor, or who is our who should we care about?
It's important to care about everyone because, as it does say in the Bible, everyone is God's child. So that means that we should treat everyone as if they were made from God, because they are.
Okay. And they're special to God, even if we don't recognize it.
Yes, so we should treat them as they are special, because they are special to Him.
Yeah. And when you see someone in the future as a doctor of chiropractic medicine, you'll see them at their worst, won't you? I mean, they'll be suffering. Their back pain will be severe. We measure pain from 0 to 10. They'll tell you that it's 11. Right? And you'll want to relieve their suffering. But they'll sometimes be nasty or something like that. You'll have to care for them anyway, won't you? Yeah. Have you been around sick people? Or you mentioned yourself you even had some sports injuries or something like this where you were not at your best. I mean, can you be patient with people who are different and suffering?
Well, I heard a great quote once by a speaker who actually graduated from WVU. It's Dr. Kevin Alko. And he said that you need to seek first to understand and then to be understood. Basically, everyone has a reason for the way they're acting. If someone comes in to my chiropractic business one day and is being hateful, it's probably because they're experiencing a lot of pain. And I think it's my job to realize that and to try to relieve them, not to get upset that they're in a bad mood.
Don't throw them out of the office.
Yeah, because they obviously need help. That's why they're coming to me, and that's why they're upset, because they're hurting.
Right. And likewise, this is a message for children. I mean, your stories are for children, but it's going to be the grandparents and the parents who read this. And folks who want to get Julie's book, go to Amazon.com, Julie Tenney. The first one is called
The Noble Knight.
The Noble Knight. Okay, so you can, if you get Julie Tenney, Amazon.com, and then The Noble Knight, that will get you to the first book. And the second book is entitled
Be Yourself, Ben.
Be Yourself, Ben. Okay, and those will teach lessons about life to children. Very good. Well, are you going to write new books in the future? Is this in a sense, wet your whistle so that you're interested in writing or creating?
Well, I'd say that eventually I'll end up coming out with another one. I'm not sure when.
Yeah. I mean, my father wrote one toward the end of his life, and he used to write newspaper articles, and he loved to do that. And I followed my father's lead and have written 3, and have 2 more coming. So once you get bit by this creative bug, it does seem to spread. I mean, it's contagious or something. You want to keep writing because people respond positively. Have they responded positively to you as an author?
Yeah, I enjoy the privileges I've been able to do as a result of writing this book. I've been able to go to the library and read to children.
Okay.
And I also went to Tennerton Elementary and read to a first grade class there. So I really enjoy doing that and interacting with kids.
Well, very good. Yeah. Now, and you'll probably have children in your practice too. I mean, again, some children. I remember the pediatric clinics, the orthopedic clinics, the neurosurgical clinics. There are children who have major handicaps, don't they? And they need a lot of attention. Easter Lily Society, I forget what it's called, but they used to have, you could buy Easter Lily stamps, and it would be for the paralyzed and injured children. I mean, in other words, there are a lot of children who need a lot of attention. And they have to learn to accept themselves, don't they? That whatever body they have or whatever deformity they have. So when you think of yourself now, studying your next stage, you're going to be going to West Liberty. Ben is sold to a new farm. Is that you? Are you writing about yourself leaving Buchanan?
I didn't envision it in that aspect, but both of my books do have a relation to me and to others that I've seen and things, because I believe it's a lesson that people need to know, because it's something that I've seen both in myself and those around me, that you need to love others and you need to love yourself. So I think it's a common topic, and that's why I wrote on both of those.
Right. Now I would say this, and we have a few minutes as we close, but I've on the other side of practice, 40 years of practicing medicine and taking care of the sick. I see my role as what you have done in high school, cheerleading. I'm with this sick person in front of me who may have a chronic illness, meaning it lasts more than 6 months. I'm having to say, don't give up. Hang in there. You can get better. Let's work harder. Let's try this new treatment. Let's do more exercise. Whatever it is that we're prescribing. That it takes a lot, and as a cheerleader, I'm thinking that will prepare you to be a good doctor too.
I think my sport experiences have definitely prepared me, both in the aspect of hard work and in encouraging others.
Well, I hadn't thought about the hard work, but there's nothing harder than training your body, is there?
I've put in a lot of time and effort into softball to get me to where I am and to be able to go on to West Liberty and play. And that's also allowed me to work harder in the classroom and to write these books.
That's right. You're getting a scholarship in softball, is that right?
Well, I was offered a scholarship for softball to go and play there, but afterwards I took my ACT again and received high enough that I'm going to school for academic money now.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I gave the scholarship back to the coach.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So see, I said I didn't know how talented Julie was here, but so you're well, congratulations, and you're a generous person too, in the sense that you know where the limit is, and you keep aspiring. So that's great.
Well, I would like for him to be able to use that money to make our team even better.
Sure, but you'll play softball.
Yes, I'm still playing softball.
Okay. And the cheerleading part, what does it feel like, as opposed to, when you're writing this book and you don't see the people that you're writing it for? There's grandparents who are out there who are going to buy this book, Amazon.com, Julie Tenney, and they're going to be reading it to their own grandchildren, but you will not see them in their bedroom reading this to the grandchildren. But when you're cheerleading, you have this crowd of people in front of you. What's the secret of being a good cheerleader? Do you have to make eye contact with one person, or how do you do the cheerleading? And is it any similarity to writing?
Well, I think cheerleading, the aspects that you have to be a good cheerleader are the same aspects that create a good attitude about life. When I cheer, I try to be positive, and despite what the score may be, or despite what circumstances you may be facing,
so as we watch this, Germany is 6 and Brazil is 0 in the World Cup. The cheerleaders for Brazil have to...
You just got to stay positive.
Okay, my goodness. Okay, we don't know how that will turn out, but people watching this will know in the future. Well, thank you very, very much, Julie. You've been an excellent guest, and I'm sure our Buchanan community wishes you well in your endeavors, and we hope you do come back and help us all stay healthy, right? And thank you for your book, 2 books. Let's plug them one more time. You give the title, how people can get it, and then they'll order them for $10 each.
Okay. Yes, you can go to Amazon.com and type in Julie Tenney or the name of the books, Be Yourself Ben or The Noble Knight, and you can get them on there.
Okay, until the next time, this is Dr. Greenbrier Allman thanking you for joining us on our program, Tender Loving Care. Special thanks to Channel 3 for this opportunity to come your way each week. We'll see you next week.
Stories of a West Virginia Doctor, written by Dr. Harold D. Allman. a collection of 55 short stories about his experience as a small-town doctor in central West Virginia. And Tender Loving Care, Stories from a West Virginia Doctor, Volume 2, written by Dr. Greenbrier Allman, using videotapes to write 70 additional stories of his father's very colorful life as a small-town doctor. They can be found for purchase at Amazon.com and most local bookstores. Tune into Channel 3 Buckhannon for Tender Loving Care with Dr. Greenbrier Allman, where he talks about the connection between Christianity and medicine.